Wow, it has been a while since I've actually did one of these videos. I think the last time I did a video on this series was actually around 5 whole months ago. So it is finally time for another video in my albums ranked series, and today we will be ranking all the projects that have been released so far by Tyler the Creator. Now I've called the video albums ranked, but I will still include his project Bastard, which is a mixtape, just because I can. So with that being said guys, you can check me out on Facebook under the name CDTVProductions, and with that being said, today we are going to be ranking Tyler the Creator's albums from worst to best.
Pop ain't call, even though he saw me on TV, it's all good. Fuck you. But now my balls deep in his bras, jaw swallow, girl, it's just nud.
And at number 5 we have Cherry Bomb, released in 2015. Cherry Bomb definitely nails the uniqueness and weirdness that made Tyler successful in the first place. But I think it's almost like it's just a bit too weird for me. I don't know if the fact that I don't really like it has to do with the fact that it's really not fully a hip-hop album. Maybe it strays just a bit too far away from hip-hop for my liking. I definitely say that has a part to play in me not enjoying it as much, I'll admit that. I mean, straight from the opening track, the album has a very abrasive and brash sound. This then leads to him having a few distorted songs later on, and you guys already know, no matter who uses it, I hate distortion on songs. It doesn't sound appealing to me in the slightest, so I wasn't a fan of Pilot or the titular track of this album. I can't put my finger on exactly what makes this album just feel so wrong to me, but I think a lot of the issues lie with the production and the mixing of the vocals. It's weird because I usually love Tyler's production, but I just didn't feel what he was going for on here. It's diverse for sure, I'll give him that, but I didn't really like it. And then also, as for the mixing aspect, it kind of almost feels like the beats were focused on a lot more on this project than the actual vocals were themselves, and on some tracks, I guess the best way to describe them would be really muddy, and it doesn't sound that great. There were a few tracks I liked on here though, those being Smuckers, Run, which seems to be everyone's least favourite song from the project, but I quite liked Run. I liked the vibe it had going for it. The Brown Stains of Dark East Latifah Part 6 to 12 remix, featuring Schoolboy Q, that one's a mouthful. I like that track. And also Find Your Wings, which is a mostly instrumental track, it's quite nice. I went into this one wanting to love it, but I actually feel like it's the only Tyler project that I've come out of disliking it quite a lot. And at number 4 we have Goblin, which was released in 2011. While Goblin was an improvement sonically from Tyler's debut Bastard, I just feel like it wasn't as good of an album. Tyler seems to be at his most edgiest on this project, and while it's not too big of an issue at the start, it does get a bit old after a while. However, to touch on the positives, cause I still think this album is alright, the intro to this album is amazing. Tyler seems to have a thing for making his intros pretty damn great. They always give you an idea of what the album will be about and how it will sound. He actually touches on people criticizing his previous album because they only focused on the rape and murder aspects of it instead of focusing on the less controversial tracks, or focusing on the fact that he's a talented young guy making music. He talks about how he feels about his success and being a troubled teenager.
You Bastard was good though.
What you think I recorded for? To have a bunch of critics call my shit a bunch of horrorcore? Like I didn't make Parade or Inglorious, cause I'm too scared to tell.
It really is a great intro. I also love the track She, which has a deceptively beautiful hook by Frank Ocean and really mesmerizing production.
The blinds wide open so he can see you in the dark when you're sleeping. Naked body, fresh out the shower, and you touch yourself after hours.
The production here for me is kinda hit or miss as the album goes on, but when I like the production on here, I really love it. Her has quite a nice beat that builds up throughout the song with some of Tyler's signature synths.
Facebook, the closest that I got was when I'm poking her on Facebook. Video chats are so exciting cause it's like she is inviting me to her world full of...
And I also thought the production on Analog was pretty nice. Now, I am going to touch on the negatives now because as I said, I just feel that this album is alright and not great. The first thing I want to say is I really hate the beat on the track Yonkers. It puts me off it so much, and while it is one of Tyler's biggest singles, I just can't listen to it. I did like the production on a lot of the other tracks though. I disliked the production on more tracks than I liked the production on, but like I said, when it's good, it's great. Radicals was also another track that I wasn't too big of a fan of because it was one of those tracks that just sounded way too hard, like it was trying to be too edgy and too emo. And it has a really roundabout way of telling you to be yourself, and it just didn't work personally for me. Like, I feel like tracks a lot later on in Tyler's career nail the kind of be yourself narrative a lot more than Radicals can. Troncat is another one that's just trying to say like the most ridiculous and controversial things, and I know that's kind of like the concept of the song, but it wasn't really that fun to listen to in my opinion. I'm also not sure how I feel about the song Transylvania, because on that song, Tyler has like a vocal filter on that makes his voice a bit deeper, and Tyler already has a deep voice. A kind of deep, gruff voice. So when you already have that voice, and then you add a filter to make it deeper, it has a really strange vocal effect, and it sounds a bit weird. As a whole, I think this album is okay, but there is so much I would change about it. A bit too emo and deliberately edgy at times, and the production wasn't as good as on his previous project, and wasn't really as interesting. There are some highlight tracks throughout though, and in my mind, this is a much better album than Cherry Bomb. It's just definitely not as good as the next three we have on this list. And at number 3, we have Bastard, which was released in 2009. This is another project that shows Tyler's knack for intros. It starts off with a really kind of leering piano beat, and Tyler saying that this is the music that the devil plays to go to sleep to.
Somebody called a pastor, this bastard is so possessed. This meeting just begun, nigga, I'm Satan's son.
It is yet another super strong start to the mixtape. Now, I've never felt that Tyler was like super talented in the lyrics area, but on his intros, he seems to put everything he can into it. This is probably also one of his more concise projects, with it focusing on, you know, how Tyler is a bastard and his feelings towards his father and all that kind of stuff. I feel like this one is very consistent in terms of its themes throughout the project, which is a big plus point for it. Another huge highlight here, and a song that stuck out to me as special, was the track wonderfully titled Ass Milk, featuring Earl Sweatshirt. The chemistry that Tyler and Earl have is great, and I feel like Tyler tries to make his rhymes stronger when he's next to Earl, because goddamn, we know Earl can rhyme ridiculously well.
6-bit of pandemic, cracking cancer mixed with cannabis, to have a bitch ready to stab a clit with some glass and shit.
Your whole gang will get diminished. Punch got the Brady's and it spit sick shit like...
It's pretty dark, but has a kind of light-hearted side to it. I also like how the beat changed depending on whether Tyler or Earl was rapping. There is one big thing that I'm a bit unsure of here though, and that is how Tyler's voice sounds on this project. Now, like I said before, Tyler has always kind of had, you know, a deep and kind of gruff voice, but here it was almost like it was a bit too raspy in places, like he didn't really have it under control. And it works for some tracks, like tracks where he's trying to portray a vicious serial killer, or on a track like French, which already has a really kind of gritty beat. His raspiness works on there, but on other songs, it just sounds kind of off-putting. Additionally, being a mixtape, this does feel a bit less complete than his other albums. He also hadn't fully tapped into his ability as a storyteller or as a producer on here. A lot of the beats also sounded a bit cheaper than Tyler beats usually do, but apart from all that, I think this was a really solid start to Tyler's career and was a great mixtape overall. And at number 2, we have Flower Boy, which was released in 2017. Now, while Flower Boy is only my second favourite Tyler album ever released, I still definitely think this is his most mature and full sounding album that he's ever made. It is just insane. If you go through his catalogue, the amount by which he has matured in 8 years is insane. It's absolutely ridiculous. This really feels like it's the culmination of all his talent. Tyler is a rapper that's already very open and honest about his feelings, but somehow he still has more to say on here. Now, I'm not as obsessed with this point as a lot of the media seems to be, but it was really interesting to hear Tyler potentially reveal that he is gay on here. Now, I'm not super obsessed with that fact. I just think it's good that he's revealed it if it's true. You know, a lot of people said he might be trolling. It doesn't sound like it due to how sincere this album sounds. So I think that was a really interesting thing to bring up on here. But yeah, I do think he's being sincere about it. I don't think he's trolling, because if you listen to tracks like Garden Shed, they sound so serene that it's hard to believe he's not just putting his heart out there for everyone.
You don't have to hide. I can smell it in your eyes. That there's something more to say.
What I love about this album is, even though I know Tyler is a more mature artist now, I never expected him to be making some of the most beautiful and relaxing music of 2017. One of the biggest highlights for me on here, See You Again, actually sees Tyler doing some high-pitched harmonized singing.
You live in my dream state. Relocate my fantasy. I stay in reality. You live in my dream state.
And I think it sounds fantastic. It almost gave me some type of, you know, Joji vibes. The production also lends massively to the more full sound that this project has. The production is still very much filled with those signature Odd Future style synths, but they sound a lot less cheap on here and are used in a more sophisticated manner. There aren't really many banger tracks on here, but the two that are on here are really well done and they fit in just fine. I Ain't Got Time is a really fun track, and while it doesn't really sound like it, it really reminded me of Tamale in a way, just with the kind of fun atmosphere it has going for it. The features across this whole thing were pretty damn great too. I was especially surprised to hear Lil Wayne on Dropping Seeds, particularly because he wasn't listed as a feature on that track. It was a nice surprise and he sounds really good on it. Just drop a new album soon, please, Wayne. I am not a huge Wayne fan, but even I'm still excited to hear what he's gonna bring on his next project, so I'd like to see him drop that soon. Rex Orange County also provides some very enjoyable hooks on here. Overall, this was just an amazing album. This was really good. And even though it's not in my #1 spot, it is very close. And I still feel like this album is 1,000,000 steps in the right direction for Tyler. It is outstanding. If you actually listen to Goblin and then listen to this straight after, you would struggle to believe that they were made by the same person. And at my #1 spot, if you haven't guessed already because it's the only one we have left, I have Wolf, which was released in 2013. I absolutely love this album. This for me is where Tyler really started to flourish as a producer and as a rapper. I also really love the whole concept behind the album and how it links into the two preceding projects. If you don't know the full story of the album, you should really look it up because it's really interesting how this album serves, or at least it's theorized that this album serves as a prequel to his previous two albums. And I want to believe that story because that is just an amazing concept. The story is actually pretty easy to follow and is expertly told throughout the songs, with a few skits at the end of some tracks to tie everything together. Not only do I love the concept of the whole album, but I even love all the concepts for the individual songs on here. 48 tells the story of a regretful drug dealer who hates the fact that he makes money off of destroying other people's lives.
I am the reason your family is using and shooting up. It's my fault. You can't blame me, motherfucker, for killing your aunties and uncles, the hustle and hunger.
Pigs is a much darker track, which focuses on the thoughts of Sam, a character within the story of this album who's about to snap after being bullied and singled out. However, my favourite story told on here is on the track Colossus. Here Tyler tells a tale similar to that of Eminem's Stan, which, by the way, he said it wasn't inspired by Stan, but this is basically Tyler's Stan song, and that's not to, like, compare them, they just have a similar story, about a fan that gets way too obsessed with him.
Speaking to me, see me and you, we go together like snare and a beat. I mean snare and a kick drum, see my forearm, I carved a F on it this morning with a glass shard on my green mini ramp that I built in my backyard. That's weird.
This song isn't as tragic and is played as a bit more comedic, but it's still told pretty well and is really enjoyable to listen to. Obviously, the concepts aren't the only reason why I like this album though. While Goblin saw Tyler used much more stripped down and sinister production, here is where he really started to use more kind of instrumentals like strings and orchestra based instruments to give it that much more lush, full sound. This was the start of Tyler's transformation into what he would become on Flower Boy, in my opinion. I mean, straight from the intro, it's pretty clear that this album is going to be using more light-hearted and jazzier production. Of course, the album still does contain some more horrorcore tinged beats. The song Slater has a bit of a darker sound to it, and the song Cowboy is another perfect example, as it merges a darker sound with some lighter strings throughout the track.
Open it, dopen it. Bobby was my fucking pipe. Dress my little dick as Ike. 20 says I hit your wife. This is life. Truthfully, I just wanna fly some kites, grab Salem and slay.
Tyler also does some very solid rapping across this thing. The main reason I want to bring this up actually is just to say that Rusty contains one of my favorite Tyler the Creator verses of all time. It's really that good to me.
Tyler's not even a violent name. I'm about as threatening as stain windbreakers and hurricanes, but he rapes women and spit wrong like he hate Dennis. Goddamn minute, 666 and he's not finished. And when shit's missing, he hates women but love kittens.
It is quite a long verse, but it still stays very focused and is quite lyrically impressive. The verse is pretty much a big middle finger to Tyler's critics and listeners who won't let him do what he wants to do musically, which is kind of me, because I just said I didn't like Cherry Bomb, but I'm not telling him what to do musically, I'm just giving my opinions on it. But it is a great song. I just love that verse so much. I just think this is a brilliant album. Everyone that I've talked to about it has said that Flower Boy is their favourite project from Tyler, and well, that is what I would say, but I really love the story told on here and how it ties into the previous two, and just everything about it. The fact that it was such a big improvement from his previous two also gave it just like a higher kind of rating in my mind, you know? I love the mix of songs on here, and it just has the right amount of love tracks, personal tracks, and just fun, crazy tracks. It was really tough to pick between this and Flower Boy for the #1 spot, but when I really thought about it, I've just decided that I like Wolf slightly more. Well guys, that's going to be it for the video today. I have no idea how long this one is going to turn out. Could be a 20-minute plus video, but that's okay, these videos always are longer. If you enjoyed it, I'd always appreciate if you could leave a like. Also, if you want to subscribe, you can do that too by clicking that big red button. If you want, you can check out my page on Facebook. The username is just CDTVProductions. That's also my handle on Twitter, and my username for my Instagram account. With all that being said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any artists you want me to do an albums ranked video for in the comments below. These ones always take a bit longer for me to do because there's a lot of music I have to listen for and form an opinion on to do it. But yeah, new top 10 on Tuesday, hopefully worst rappers in the game next Friday. That'll be on Ski Mask the Slump God. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next one. This is CDTV Productions, signing out.